What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color that made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, we're joined by Shannon Times.
What's up?
What's going on? And then we also have full crew here, so we have Chris Davidan.
What's going on, everybody?
And Deo Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What is up? So welcome to Monday's episode. So Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. I had a really good one with Shauna Weatherly. So if you've not checked it out, please go back and check that episode out. And then Fridays, everything else. So movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from cybernews.com, written by Stephanie Shepard. And the title of this one is Kentucky Inmates Hack Prison-Issued Devices in $1 Million Digital Heist, right? So look, we can't sit here and assume that people that aren't doing good aren't tech savvy, right? So what happened in this story was the Kentucky Corrections Department, they issued out these devices, right? So as they are wont to do, right? Because in this day and age, like everything is technical, right? Like they have to get with the times as well. So you can't have it to where you're doing a lot of, what do you call it? Pen and paper type tracking and things of that nature, right? So they're getting into the technology age, right? Over there in Kentucky. So if Kentucky is catching on, then you know what I mean? Not to offend anybody in Kentucky, but they ain't usually ahead of the times when it comes to IT and things of that nature, right? But in this instance, they are getting up there with everybody else, and it bit them in the butt. What ended up happening was they figured out a way, and it was like within the first day, they figured out a way to not hack into the system, but to trick the system into believing that they had more credits than what they actually had for using different services that were offered to them, right? Like different commissary services and things of that nature. They also used it as credits for like phone calls and things of that nature. So yeah, they figured it out. And the company was Securus. What's the name of this company? I'm trying to find it now.
Securus?
Securus, Securus, right? Is how it's spelled. I'm guessing that's correct. Securus, like secure us. Well, they ain't very secure, right? Because, and I say that because this wasn't the only time this has happened. This has actually happened before, and it was another company that was affiliated with Securus, right? So it's, I don't want to say it's good, right? Because they're prisoners, right? I don't want to see them have it too easy, but it's to the point where the reason I think they're going this route is because it requires less people to do things like this, right? Like you have less people doing auditing and tracking and things of that nature for the prisoners, and you just have it to where because they're, I'm not going to say usually state funded, because a lot of these prisons are private, right? But they get their money from the state or federal even. Less manning for them is something that they're all for. Right. So to have these things be automated and be a lot easier to take care of, they have no problem with that. Right. But you got to be careful out there. You got to be careful out there what you're putting out there into the populace. And again, it's not like they were reaching out to people and harassing. Well, they could have been. Let me not say that. They could have been reaching out to people and harassing them. Right. Because this helped them get phone credits for them to make phone calls and whatnot. So they could have been intimidating witnesses from prison. Right. So instead of just calling loved ones. But you never know. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
So really, my first thoughts were, what was security even did they have any security on this if it was jailbroken within a day, right? So it was one specific inmate that within was it 24 hours figured out how to hack it, right? So basically they got these tablets back in 2022, right? First thing that came to my mind is what type of mobile device management was being used, what kind of identity management was being utilized, right? Identity and access management, right? And I figured they'd get something like, kids mode from, on your phone, right? Something like that, where it's like, okay, here are credits, here's that. That'd be my first thought, because you don't want to, you want to give them the bare minimum, right? You don't want to give them like the full suite of internet to where they can just figure stuff out. I don't know what they have, right? But I mean, the first thing that came to mind is this guy probably logged in, did some type of SQL injection, maybe there's some IT guy that got convicted, right? And he did something really smart that they didn't think that they could do. Like Shannon was saying, hey, just because they're prisoners doesn't mean they're stupid. Some of them are probably extremely smart and know what they're doing. And also, when you think about it, you give them a tablet, that's all they got. They're in their prison still. They're gonna figure something out. They're gonna play around, right? So like every input, output needs to be tested. Input validation, everything needs to be tested. But the fact that they've got, collectively, well, the numbers were 366 inmates collectively added 529,000 to both their commissary accounts and their Securus accounts for a total of more than 1 million. I'm like, they probably wish they could purchase cars and stuff from this because they weren't able to. But surprisingly, right? I think they were all found out at some point. I don't think they were charged, but I mean, really, I don't think they should be charged. It's not. This is the fault of the company. They probably, somebody said, quote, they just had extra credits in there. I'm like, no way. I just couldn't believe it. So this article does have me just a little bit like, it's stunned how, cybersecurity is a surprise. It's a surprise, right? This is one of those, I don't want to say refreshing stories, but it just goes to show you the breadth and diversity of the cybersecurity field. Cybersecurity is everywhere. And that being said, Daniel, what are your thoughts?
So Daniel, real quick, man. So like before you go, sorry. So like you have to assume this is going to happen for sure, right? So people always say haters going to hate. Well, criminals are going to criminal, right? Like this is what's going to happen. If you give them the opportunity, this is where they're going to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and the reason they haven't charged anybody, like what you were talking about, the reason they haven't charged anybody is because they can't. It took them 6 months just to trace and see what was illegal and what was illegal
to figure out.
You know what I mean? But Daniel, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're right. It's kind of funny because they said between the prison and Securus, they're like, it took them 6 months to figure out and try to trace some of it. And they're like, at the end of the day, we'll just split the loss 50-50. I'm like, Chris, you're talking about like this guy SQL injected or he did all this stuff. I think he just went logged out, logged back in, admin username, password, editor. I feel like he just went to admin mode and just like giving people free money. Like, I'm pretty sure it was
100%. Yeah.
The blame and the precipice of all this, it has to start with Securus. The major responsibility and the blame is on them because it almost seems like, this whole story is kind of crazy. You said it's refreshing, but it's kind of shocking to me. We're using taxpayers' money in one way or another to fund third-party people to create software on tablets to give to inmates. Like, that's kind of a little, it got me kind of upset too. And then, sometimes you always think about like, well, you never know what people have been through, their stories. But then the person that they talk about that hacked it is a child sex offender. So I'm like, no, screw that. Like, throw away the key. This is like the opposite. I know there's got to be some kind of innovations to make advancements, like you say, for personnel to try to do some more of those low-level like things that for running a prison cell maybe, but giving them tablets so they can earn credits essentially to like watch Netflix and contact their family. I think that's going too far in the other direction. We gotta do an autocorrect and kind of like. Luckily, like I'm assuming this network wasn't on the main prisons network, because if that was the case, then there could have been even worse things, like them getting into the prison cell software or the things that control the prison cell to get out the prison break scenario in our hands. It could have gotten way, 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 way worse. Side note, though, I think the prison inmates should start a side hustle. They should be their own cybersecurity consulting firm. This is like a software glitch. Like, so we could be like, if your software got a glitch, we got the itch out, something along those lines, and just run with it. Just start their own like LLC inside the prison. I don't know. I'll workshop it. They can reach out to me. I'm not gonna to help them too much because I'm trying to get the money that they stole as well. It's hard to make side hustles too. So all those side note. But
yeah, no, I was gonna say, hey man, if the prison system there was willing to contract out Securus, they can afford some consultants, right? To help out.
Yeah. Now, all jokes aside, I think I would like to see what's the level of exploitation, because they alluded to another story, not too different than this one, another hack, right? Like, how many of these have actually happened, right? And then where is the gap between like how much technology we use to essentially make their lives easier, and then what we're actually using for protection and automation within the prison cell themselves? I don't know, Ryan. Do you think we've gone too far in kind of like making maybe the person's lives easier by making the inmates' lives easier just to keep them busy, like we give a child a cell phone? Well, it's to prevent like fighting and clashing inside the prison cells, or like what's going on here?
Yeah, so I was going to go kind of in that route as well. Like, if you don't give them something to do, they'll find something to do with their fist. I mean, like, so definitely hit up all the websites to go by our name, the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask CISSP. definitely check out. I don't know. I don't really have an ad set up here. So if you want to have an ad of some sort in our mid roll, this is where it would be at. So definitely hit me up. All right. But with that being said, so I think what was on the other? So they say it was a 1,700 page, basically investigation report. What was on the other 1,699 pages? Like he hacked us, and that's it. Like, what did you type in there?
They probably went into the details of all the different inmates because it was 366 or whatever that number was.
You think like everybody had
it could have a record of all the transactions and everything as well. You know,
maybe because I was like, what did you put on there? But so to Daniel's point though, like you have to give them something to keep them active. So I had a family member who wasn't in prison. Like they did a couple of days in jail, right? So. And they also had something akin to this, but it wasn't. I think it was like a phone, not a tablet. So like there's a whole industry on how to contact your inmate. Like you can register. You got prepaid cards. You have like tablets, things of that nature, so they can get a hold of you. So there's a lot more technology involved. Luckily, he was only there for a couple of days. But in order to contact them, like you have to like find out their numbers, what they were booked for, like set up an app, prepay it, and then somehow it appears on their side, right? So that way they can contact you. So I don't know about commissary and all that stuff because like prison and jail are different things, right? So yes, Cat Williams, he said I've been in jail, never been in prison. So I assume that like, maybe it's a little bit more robust on that side because that person lives there. Like they said that the inmate figured this out was 30 years old and was doing 30 years, right? So like that person, it'll be a little bit more technology savvy because they are younger, right? They're more in our younger than us. Like not to blow everybody's spot, but no one here is 30.
Yeah,
on the dot. So they can kind of they understand technology, right? They had a tablet and things of that nature. But also, this person was one of the worst offenders, right? So maybe they had a little bit more technology savvy to get the content they were getting before. We have a story on that coming up later in the week as well. So definitely tune into that. But my thing is like usually people who are in jail for sex offense or especially do with children are like the black sheep of the prison. So like, did this person get some kind of social credit because of this? You know what I mean? Like, or we still hate you, but we'll take the commissary.
We'll mess with you less, right? Like you did this for us, so
we'll beat you up a little bit less because of this. But that is also an interesting dichotomy or dynamic of this story. But yeah, the company did not prepare for this. Like they probably were just like you said, it probably was an aspect of either they did a SQL inject or something like that, like fuzzing, right? Or it was admin, password. If you have 30 years, you got time to put in all the passwords you can think of.
That's true. That is true.
He eventually hit the jackpot and was like, aha. The thing was that he shared it. So he could have been living, think about how long he could have been living off of free money had he not pushed it to the rest. He probably shared it with one person. And then it spread like wildfire, and that's what got them caught up.
That's currency. That's more currency than them Securus bucks they're spending. You know what I mean? Like for him to have that information and spread it to everybody, like it got all right. You ain't got to hold my belt loop today. You know what I mean? You free your own. You know what I mean? But no, it's weird, right? So like for me, as we're going through and discussing this, and I hear all the good points that you guys are talking about, something that comes to me like from a technology standpoint is, do you think we're going to see a lot more of this? Because there's going to come a time where like the older technologies and how prisons are managed when it comes to like landlines and things like that, they're going to go away from them. Like the phone companies even are going to be like, you know how much it costs us to maintain these landlines? We're not doing this anymore, right? AT&T is going to get out of that business. You can't walk in most major cities now and see the old phone banks you used to have, like the payphone banks and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you're going to see more technology like this start get utilized in everyday life. Like, whether you're out free on the streets or you've lost your freedom and you're behind prison or jail walls in this instance, right? So, technology is just going to force it this way. So, they just got to do better at securing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure somewhere in that $1,700 or 1,700 page dossier, Like that's a lot of pages. There is some like this is how we better secure these things for the future. Because if they're in one prison, they were probably in several prisons, right? Like usually these contracts go out to either state, so they're running all the state ones, or close to it, or national, right? Like there are multiple prisons that go by a specific private company's name or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's an industry now. So if it was done there, it could probably have been done several other places. So he could have bankrupted this company, so to speak, right? Like how many Fritos and Funyuns can you buy? You know what I mean? Like
$1 million worth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the perception that they can't secure the products they put out that'll bankrupt them, right? It's bad business, right? Loss of trust, right? We talk about this all the time when it comes to businesses. The fact that they can't secure them and things like this happen. The other people that bid for this contract in the Kentucky prison system or whatever they call it, they're going to have a better shot now. They're like, yeah, we went with Securus. We tried that. It cost us, $500,000 because we went 50-50 on these losses, right? Because Securus and the prison system had to share it. And it is weird because in the article they say that no taxpayer money was lost in this, but I doubt it. Like I doubt it. Like taxpayers are funding these prisons, right? Like even if they're privately owned, they are getting money from the government, to house these prisoners.
Well, I guess it'd be from the state. So the state situation had to have shared in that in some way, or it came from because at some point the state was funded to do this and then pay a private company. So like whomever is in that prison is suffering right now because A, they probably lost their devices, but B, like they have to recoup that money through giving you less quality food and stuff like that, right? Like their budget had to be cut in some regard. So they lost something in this, aside from more of their freedom, which is crazy. So, but yeah, definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So again, Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays ask a CISSP or a throwback of some sort, and then Fridays everything else, so movies, books, games, all that good stuff. There's a lot of websites that go by our name, the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW. You can hit me up on all social medias pretty much at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. And where can I find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Chris Abacon. Last name spelled A-Bacon.
Yeah. And then where can I find you, Daniel?
LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.